Hey everybody, welcome back. We're doing another Marvel Future Revolution video. In this one, do we get a dev note coming up here shortly? I think I figured out the equation, super secret, and we're gonna talk about that. And does that mean that we actually are gonna get an event along with it? Not just a dev note, but maybe some sort of celebration event, not the anniversary. Or are we in what some people are speculating as maintenance mode? Who knows, right? So let's talk about that a little bit. I think this is going to end up being accurate. So let's just jump right in.
Bring me WolverThor!
All right, so it's no secret at this point, if you've played MFR, Marvel Future Revolution, for any amount of time, people come into the store to figure out when the next things are coming up. So you'll see it in my videos, see it in everyone else's videos, see it in Discord, everybody talking about looking at these dates or durations of the offers that they sell. So you can see stuff from 20 days to 51 days, and I think that's pretty much it for these. You can check in featured, you can check in bundles. They're all over the place, and you can tell typically when you've got like a character in there or a companion in there, that's the one to sort of focus in on. These 50-day ones, these are more just kind of random, which is a little surprising. 50 days from now, what is that? I mean, right now when I'm shooting this video, it's September 10th. It'll publish on September 11th. And 50 days from now, what is it? 20 is the 30th. So it's basically the end of October. So, you know, around that Halloween time, I guess, or right around that Halloween time is where they'll end, which probably would make sense for some sort of Halloween themed thing if the game is set up for that, given the cut in their staff. So I'd say the next, October time for sure we'll know what's going on with the game. But the one I want to focus on is not that. I want to focus on and let's just jump back to the featured. I want to focus in on the Groot one, which is 20 days. If you look at your calendar, 20 days from now is September 30th. So, which gets us I'm sorry, not September 30th. September 30th. So, I'm losing my mind on what month it is. So it's the kids and events. Anyway, so that means that we might get something new around that time, which means we should probably get a dev note either earlier in that week or the week before. That puts the dev note, the next dev note, I think it's 14, coming, I'd say September 21st. Loose chance if it slides a week, the 28th. But I'm targeting the 21st as of right now to look for that. I think that it makes sense. Obviously, again, no secret sauce here as far as figuring that out. So the next question becomes, what are we getting? You know, a lot of people are talking about, including me, putting videos out, is what's going on with the game. Are they in maintenance mode? Are the developers selling the game? Do they care? What's going on? They didn't even do September bundles. The stuff is just, honestly, frankly, sort of insane if you ask me, where it's just like any video game who's trying to actually stick around, they wouldn't do stuff like that. So, I've talked about, and anyone who's wondering about the truck thing, people are still digging into that. Obviously, with it being overseas, wanted to make sure we check every box. I wouldn't anticipate anything in the next week or so on that, but they're still digging into it if you're still interested. Some people don't care. I've got some notes from some people on ways to fix the game, which I'm going to publish and hopefully dive into this week as well. So I think that, we're certainly focusing on things. And at the same time, we've got to decide, what do we want to focus on, right? So the question here is it in maintenance mode? Are we getting something, special in this 20 days? So I said, basically it's coming, we're going to get an update around the October 1st time and that September 30th time. So I want to show you guys something is how many days, do you know how many days it'll be in game at that time? Thinking about it? I got a calculator here for you if you just don't want to figure it out yourself, okay? Calculator between due dates. So the game came out like August 25th. We're talking October 1st. I want to draw your attention to this. It's essentially 400 days. So we know we got a 300-day event in game. Now, I've heard some people talk about how Korean culture celebrates things in 100 days. So let's go to Google, and I want to see if this is true. Korean culture, 100-day. There's multiple. Traditionally, the number 100 is a deep meaning of maturity in Korea. Making it past the first 100 days was a sign that you would live to see your first birthday. And making it past your first birthday was a sign that you would make it out of infancy. So there's obviously some, I guess this is just 100-day. What is a 100-day party? To 100 days in Korean, there's a baby's first 100 days. So it's just talking about that just for the baby sense and the birth. But what about, like, is there anything for every 100 days? Celebrate every 100 days. Traditionally, the number 100 has a deep meaning of maturity, which we already talked about. It's the first 100 days. But what about, is there anything here besides that? Here we go. So why do Koreans celebrate 100 days, 200 days, etc.? So this one talks about the 100 days for the baby again. So clearly there is the 100 days pattern used for milestones in the survival of a baby would be an obvious smaller scale model, longer than a month, but less than a year. Korean dating culture has other odd traditions that seem to be manufactured to fill the apparent lack of couplehood traditions. Really, just a few of those include couple set. This is talking about just the dating thing. I had heard from somebody who said they had looked at this, but for the dating as well. So there seems to be 100 days sort of thing. Again, this is more just the first 100 days. You know, maybe not they've got the 100 days in a relationship. You know, they look at, some couples go as far as to celebrate the 200th, the 300th, the 400th. You get the gist. So again, 100th day, Western couples are known to celebrating every 100 days holds much importance to the Koreans rather than yearly anniversaries. So again, and it ties to the first 100 days as a child. So I am very interested if this 100 days thing is a thing. Now, again, we've got Future Fight, which still did the year anniversary, all that sort of thing. So this does not necessarily mean that that's what this game is doing. I'm not trying to give you necessarily a sense of hope that, you know, hey, maybe this is what they're doing in this game and everything's fine. Still concerned about the no September bundles, the cut into devs, all that sort of thing. I want to state just for myself is that there's some talk out there about how long the contract is between Marvel and Netmarble. That information is not known fact. I want everybody to know that there's not a known contract for 5 years. Typically, that information is so secretly gated that people are not shared any of that at all. So I've had alliance mates, I've had people talk about that. I want to share with you, until I see an article that directly states that, or somebody comes out directly from either company stating that as fact, do not hold that as fact. The second thing is there's some discussion on how much the game makes. A lot of this comes from an app called Sensor Tower. The way Sensor Tower works is it tells you revenue. And if you're not a money accounting economy type person, revenue is the amount of money that comes in. It's not profit. Profit is what you actually can take home to celebrate. Yay, I made all this money over your expenses. So revenue is the amount of money that comes in, and then you've got your expenses. So if I have $10 of revenue, but my expenses are $20, that means my profit is negative. I've lost 10. So Sensor Tower is only talking about that first step. It is only talking about revenue. It is not talking about the expenses, and it is not talking about the profit. So I don't want people to get confused about when they look at Sensor Tower saying Marvel Future Revolution made $30 million. Well, they might have, but what if their expenses were $50 million? But what is true is their financials, and you can see in the Netmarble's financials, and you can see in their financials some of their P&L or the profit and loss. So it shows those percentages as a company at the last 2 quarters, and it's not been good. So that's one thing on that. Additionally, with Sensor Tower, the way that app works is it sort of interpolates or guesstimates the amount that a company makes. Sensor Tower does have some companies that accurately reflect their revenue. Which ones those are, I don't know. I don't think the app necessarily declares. And from there, the app will figure out what they think the revenue of these other companies are. But unless the company directly reports to Sensor Tower, which not all of them do, I think it's actually fewer than most of the apps listed on there. They don't know what it is. So it is a very slippery slope, but the most important part of it is that it's revenue. So even if Netmarble is giving the revenue to Sensor Tower to figure out, it is not the profit. So I would recommend people, when you're trying to really analyze their financials or their understanding of how much they're making, look at Netmarble's actual financials that they have to release and put out there for all their shareholders. So anyway, now that I kind of got off of that, the update, this dev note that I fully believe is going to come the 21st. I'm hoping if they give us just a little increment of essentially nothing, I think that's one more bad sign. You know what I mean? And they're just stacking up. I continue to say, look, I'm still playing the game. You know, I'm over here now. This is auto, just do whatever. I'm still doing my dailies. I'm still doing my dark zone. I'm still doing my stuff. I'm being wise about my spending. Okay. I always say this in all my videos that ever talk about offer reviews or anything that's in there, is have your budget, be smart about what your budget is, think about what you want to spend on, and be happy with what that is. And then, you know, if the game disappeared the next day, it's kind of like, okay. So anyway, keep continuing to do that. But the dev note, I think, I'm hoping they're going to give us some sort of indication of what they're doing. You know, we don't, I mean, I've had friends who've come back for the Wolverine introduced to the game, and they've got no invasions. So I'm expecting in this dev note, what is going on with invasions? Are we getting a new one? Are we gonna eat in Savage Shadowlands? Now, I don't want everybody to get all excited if Savage Shadowlands is the next dev note. It's great. I'm excited to play. I'm gonna do it. It is not necessarily an indicator of the game, you know, going on for years and years. It's likely that was already done or close to done before they had the cut in the devs. But I'll still take it. I'm excited about it. I want this game to be successful, assuming that Netmarble decides to actually interact with their community, which they're still not doing in Discords or anything like that. It's actually eerily silent and very, very frustrating. So I'm hoping this next dev note has something in it. If it doesn't, I highly recommend, you know, thinking about what you're doing in game. You know, just find the fun in it. Keep your eyes out there for other games that might intrigue you. I will admit to you, I'm trying to recover a couple accounts and games that I used to play. You'll see me covering some things on this channel that are not necessarily going to be Marvel Future Revolution related, because I'm interested in seeing what's out there right now, because Netmarble is not giving us anything to sort of work with. So I'll still play it. I'm still going to cover it. And at the same time, I'm going to look at D23, so what games are out there. I'm going to check out some of the games I used to play before and kind of go from there. But let me know what your thoughts are. You know, what games are you interested in? What do you think's happening with Future Rev? Do you think this dev note's going to hit at that time? What do you think it's going to say, or what are you expecting it to say? I'd love to hear in your comments below. If you want to come to the Discord and chat about that, that's in the description below. Appreciate you making it this far. If you want to hammer down like buttons, click notification bells, and subscribe. Give you a big thumbs up. And until next time, I hope you have a wonderful day.